Hello and welcome everybody to WooPlayer. Our Q&A weekly webinar call. We're going to get started here in just one moment, but before we do, if anybody who's on the call can be kind enough to confirm that both audio and video connection are working as expected. Actually, video connection is just starting up, so you should be able to see my screen right now, which should say WooPlayer Q&A on it. So if anybody can confirm, Dean is already confirming. Hello to Stephen, hello to Dean, hello and welcome everyone who joined the call today. Thank you for joining once more. This is the question and answer session of WooPlayer's weekly webinar call, which we're holding with the intent of answering any questions that you as users may have. My name is Peter, and I'm WooPlayer's product manager. Aside from just answering questions, we're also holding this call in order to provide any training needed on any advanced features, modules of WooPlayers, or use advanced use cases. Additionally, we can just discuss how you're using video in your business and share any ideas, constructive criticisms, or suggestions on how we can keep improving WooPlayer to continue adding value through it to your business. As far as the format of the webinar goes, it's pretty straightforward. So you can at any time type in a question, or if you came prepared with any question, just paste in your questions in the chat box and we'll just start answering them in the order that they come in. It is a weekly call, so if you're unable to join anytime, you are able to see weekly replays posted both on our YouTube channel as well as on our Facebook group. And those links are in the chat box right now. So if you haven't subscribed to that channel or joined that group, I do encourage you to do so, as that'll help you stay up to date with all of the WooPlayer releases and help you get involved with the community and be able to discuss similar use cases with other WooPlayer users. Additional resources which could be helpful for everybody who are getting started with WooPlayer, primarily our knowledge base, which is available at docs.wooplayer.com. And there, in particular, the Getting Started section, if you're just getting started with WooPlayer, does a great job of explaining how to get your first video set up and running on your platform, from uploading it to adding interesting features to it, and how you can leverage analytics and so on, and how you can publish that video on your platform. If at any time you have any ideas or suggestions that you would like to share with us, but you're unable to do so on the call, you may at any time access our product board, which is available from inside of the application over here on the left-hand side, where it says documentation and support. You can click on that and say submit and vote on ideas, which will take you to our product board. And here you can see everything that we are working on, stuff that's under consideration. So these are all of suggestions from your fellow WooPlayer users who were kind enough to share their ideas and their priorities. And now other WooPlayer users are voting on them. And that helps us gather momentum and accordingly roadmap those ideas. So if you have an idea of your own, you can come over here on the top right corner and click on submit an idea. There you can describe what you would like to be able to do with WooPlayer and how important it is for you, and that way we can get it in front of other WooPlayer users so they can vote on it as well. What else did I want to mention? Oh yeah, so if you have any questions of technical nature, or you're faced with any issues regarding using WooPlayer, we encourage you always to just start a new conversation with us using the live chat widget in the application on the bottom right here, and you can just click on new conversation and we can take it from there. And additionally, if you would like to submit a more detailed report of a bug, you can come over here and click on contact support, and there you can click on detailed ticket, and then you can go through. I have a billing question, and that just helps us more efficiently channel the request that you have. So I think that's all of the housekeeping notes that I wanted to share, so we can get to questions if there are any. I see some new people joining the call, so again, just welcome to everybody. The floor is now open to questions until such time that questions start rolling in. We'd just like to reiterate. We got a message from Steven saying, I noticed that the initial load time on mobile for YouTube linked 2-minute video was about 6 seconds. Is that normal? If I host on VooPlayer, will that improve? So a video hosted on, so I'm assuming a YouTube link which is playing through VooPlayer, it takes about 6 seconds to load. So that's generally the use case, regardless of if the video is playing through mobile or through desktop. And I can kind of go through what's happening there. So I think this is a good practice for everybody because a lot of people are using VooPlayer links. So here I'll just grab a YouTube links as a source. So I'll just grab a YouTube link and I'll go over here to create a new video, and I'll use that link that I just grabbed. And we'll say this is example video, example YouTube video. I'll click that video. So I'll just go through what's happening with this video so you guys can gain a better understanding of everything that's involved in playing this video. So as you know, when you are, well, actually I'm able to grab it from here. So let me just grab that original URL. So this is the video from which we're streaming, and as you know, that's not the actual path to the video. That's the path to this page of YouTube's site where this video is just embedded and it's being played. The actual source of the video, however, so I'll just open up the player here. Actually, let me embed it. So we had an embedded. So I'll go over here. Well, actually, I don't even need to do that. I can just take a look at it directly from here. So let me just function F12. So I can inspect this video and we'll see this link. Let me just open it up in a new tab. So this is the actual source of the video, which is being streamed over here. So this is the content that's playing through this player, which is hosted on a server which is called R2, CXPE, GoogleVideo.com, video playback, blah, 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 and a lot of additional information which are hosting this stream. And this is a temporary link, which is always changed. So as you can see, it has an expire date when it's going to expire, and it can only play on specific IPs which have requested it, blah, 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 blah. So without going into too many details, so we're able to obtain through our services that we're leveraging the source video for this YouTube link. And doing that is not necessarily an easy thing, and YouTube is not too pleased about services such as ours, which are being able to do this, because it basically takes out their content out of their platform, because we're able to just grab this and say, hey, now I can do with this whatever I want, and I can leverage your hosting and your bandwidth to stream this video without you being able to leverage it on your platform for additional monetization, for additional engagement and serving ads and keeping people interested in continuing to click through other videos. So that's something that YouTube is not too very pleased about. So they're not making this very easy to do, to get to this source. So once we start getting to this source, well, you'll see. So I can get into some more details on this. So for this, I'll actually embed it so we can take a look at stuff that's happening on the back end there. I'll just grab a quick sandbox that we can play in. So I'll paste that embed code in here and we'll run it. And let's just take a look at what's happening under the hood. So here we can inspect everything that's happening. Well, so here we'll see, here's that request which says getting external source for that video. And that's, let me just pause it now that it started. So that's getting that redirector link to to the source of the video, and just that request to YouTube. So this is the request to YouTube, which says, hey, just give us the source for that video, and it's actually bouncing through many redirects and everything like that YouTube is trying to prevent and validate and make sure that you're not a bot like we are, and so on. So we have to jump through a lot of hoops to get to that source. And as you can see, the time for that request is 6.6.5 seconds basically that it takes just for that video to load. So and that's the, I wouldn't say primary, I would say that's the only delay that you have in loading that video. If you are hosting your videos on VooPlayer, that 6.5 seconds just goes away because you're instantly able to, or at least we're able to, obtain and start streaming the source from our hosting, which makes it a lot more easier to access, and it makes it more or less instant for the playback to start. So just that time that's required to jump through all of the hoops that YouTube has set up for us to be able to get to that source is what's causing that delay in the playback. As you can see, all of the other requests for VooPlayer, which are loading through this embed, are taking milliseconds. So it's more or less instantly playable, aside just from this request to load external content, and that's what's really causing the delay. So hopefully that sheds some more light on how everything is set up and why videos hosted through YouTube are taking longer to embed, and why for better performance and better playback we always recommend VooPlayer. However, we are fully aware and recognize that hosting on YouTube is an incredible advantage, because that way you don't have to necessarily worry about storage or worry about bandwidth, as you will, but it's a balancing act. So you need to kind of balance that loading time against the lower cost of being able to host as many videos and more or less be able to leverage the most powerful content delivery network in the world, which is able to stream at the fastest speeds from anywhere. So that's kind of the trade-off that you're making. And of course, we're continually working on optimizing that. It's just sometimes they continue changing their API, so you need to jump through even more hoops. So I can't say that this is something that will necessarily improve. It might worsen, it might stay the same, it might improve. We're continually working on it and experimenting with the most optimal ways in which we can leverage the services that we're using to obtain this source. But it's not an easy, and it's always a mutating task for us to be able to do so. So hopefully that provides a little bit more insight into what's happening with YouTube links. However, one of the improvements, and these are actually improvements that we are working on. So let me just did I close that? No, I didn't. So let me just refresh this. So I'll rerun it again. So so there's this wait time right here that's happening before the video plays. And for example, it's something that could be more optimized on our end, and currently we're making that so that's also part of the loading process, so you don't just have that frozen image that sits there for a few seconds. We also want to make that a part of the loading process, so it looks like a more intuitive loading experience for people who are viewing the video. So we're both making improvements on the back end and are continually optimizing that workflow, as well as on the front end for giving the viewers a more bearable experience on just not thinking that the video has frozen and that something is happening. So we're definitely continuing to improve on that. Thanks for that question. That's a great question. So I'll just follow up. I'll come back to Clark. I just want to finish what Steven is saying. So if we host off of Amazon Web Services or another server and play through VooPlayer, then it will load faster. How fast are VooPlayer hosted video load times? So that depends. So It's going to be different if a person is watching the video from New York City and if they're watching the video from Sydney, Australia, for example, depending on where that video points to. So we're leveraging on at least on our subscription licenses. So that's what turbo bandwidth is referring to. So let me just the first thing that's going to impact the load times on the videos is going to be the content delivery network, and there you definitely want to have a good understanding of regular versus turbo bandwidth. So I'll just share this article, which goes into some more details around how that turbo bandwidth is behaving and why it's a good thing to leverage it. But basically, that article goes into details, but I'll just cover it generally like this. So these are all of the locations that we have in the world where your videos are being pinged off of when they are being served over that turbo bandwidth. So for example, if and this always varies by every single hosting provider. So for example, on Amazon Web Services, that's actually fairly configurable. So for each services, you're able to enable different regions. So you can say, hey, I want to enable US West 3 and US West 4 and US West 5, and there's going to give you like 20 different locations over here on the west coast of the United States, whereas for us, you're going to be just pinging off of these three: Seattle, San Fran, and LA. But basically, if you just, so for example, if you just have those enabled and somebody is trying to stream from Hong Kong, it's going to take a longer time for them to load if they have to ping off of these three. If this one is available as well and they can ping it instantly and it starts streaming from there, of course that the load time is going to be much faster. So the first thing that impacts that is the availability of how they're being referred to as POP locations, points of, and I forgot points of, I want to say points of reference, but points of something, points of places. Let's just call them that. But basically, if those points are more accessible and they can be accessed faster, the videos are going to load faster. So the first thing that goes into that is the availability to connect faster to a server which hosts that video. So that's the primary thing that goes into it. So if you host on AWS, depending on the regions which you have enabled for your storage and your bandwidth and your cloud services, it might load faster over AWS. And from my experience, at least, they are able, or since AWS is probably the largest hosting and bandwidth provider in the world, I think nobody can compete with the quality and the cost balance that they have. So points of presence is the POP abbreviation Randall just points out. So as Stephen is asking, so the AWS services provided have the I would say highest quality and the lowest cost available, and then that's one of the reasons why we made integrating with AWS easier with VooPlayer. So we're able to use VooPlayer's interface to connect to the S3 services, so you can upload through VooPlayer via AWS user, which has permission to upload files and so on and so on. So you can upload through VooPlayer, leverage the HLS encryption services and so on, and store everything and stream everything from AWS. So that's, in my opinion, if somebody who is serious about integrating with VooPlayer has, if not the technical team and the expertise behind needing to set up this integration, which is really not that difficult. Anybody who's willing to dig a little bit through documentation and fiddle around and maybe fail a couple of times and retry until everything is configured properly will find that this type of an integration really provides the best of both worlds. You're able to leverage the HLS encryption protecting your videos. You're able to leverage affordable storage and configurable and high quality availability of bandwidth, which I think really makes this the best solution that's available out there. So I just shared that article with you as well. And again, as I said, a lot of different variables go into what's the best solution for everybody. So that's why we always encourage just having open conversations with us around both what the use cases are, where the videos are going to be streamed, what kind of videos they are, what's the load going to be on those videos, and so on and so on and so on. So the more information we have, and the more information we have on the type of businesses and the videos that are being streamed, helps us put together best recommendations. But let's just say, generally speaking, I would say that this integration with S3 really leverages the best of both worlds. Hopefully you were able to pick up some helpful information from that. All right, let's jump back to Clark's question. So Clark is saying, what are the updates to new interactive features that are going viral on the funnel providers? What are the funnel providers? I'm Clark. Sorry, I'm completely lost on your question. What are the updates to the new interactive features that are going viral on the funnel providers? I'm afraid you lost me there. So if you want to provide maybe in video contesting, sorry, still nothing. Maybe take a minute or two to try and elaborate on that. And in video funnels, what are the updates to the new interactive features that are going viral in the video funnels? There are, so let me just I can generally discuss funnels in WooPlayer. Yeah, that's what I was going to do. So there are no updates to the new interactive features that are happening with the video funnels. So there has been a, so let me just open that up. So there has been a somewhat of a general effort into redefining how funnels work inside of WooPlayer, both from the perspective of building them and providing a more sort of I would say intuitive workflows for designing questions and answers and resulting actions, as well as being able to put together more palatable structures of interactions for use cases such as quizzes and so on and so on. So there's been a general effort around redesigning that, which was initiated, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'll say maybe in the summer of 2019, something like that. And we started working on it. And then at one point, everybody just kind of lost interest on it, and then we've made some progress on it, and we're still fiddling with it, but it just lost momentum, which was overtaken as a priority the performance needs of the video player itself. Unfortunately, we're not able to like segregate a special team that's going to be working on the development of the funnels itself. We kind of have to decide what's the most valuable thing that we can work on, and we've decided that's performance over funnels. So that's why we kind of stopped with that and started focusing more on delivering the new player for WooPlayer, which is going to have better performance and better playback and better compatibility across the new environments that the new player just kind of that the current player just hit limitations of, and that's why we've paused that. We're still very much interested in delivering the new funnels, the new funnel module and the new funnel capabilities. It's just that it's been overtaken in priority. Show a quick funnel. The gate features are transparent, so just integrate the new player. Got it. Yeah. So and on that note, so the new player itself will I don't want to I want to choose my words carefully here. So the new player itself is going to be very selective around all of the modules that it will support. So, for example, at least in the beginning phases, the funnels and video contests and stuff like that are going to continue to work through the existing player. So, if we wanted to port over all of the modules as well, I would say that would just delay the development of the new player. So at least in the initial release, the player will the new player will most likely not work through with the modules such as funnels and contests and A/B tests and so on. Only work with single videos, whereas those will continue to work with the existing player. Um, Dean is saying once version 4.2 goes live, will you then be reworking the funnel option? That's the plan. That is currently sort of the number two priority that we have with regards to the interest of users and everybody who wants to leverage Rule Player. We still have a lot of people who are coming in and are really fired up about using the funnels module, and they have interesting use cases for it, but are inevitably running into difficulties with the experience of setting everything up as they imagine, as well as the capabilities of covering their use cases. And we were able to gather so much feedback around that we're pretty confident that we have the right solution defined and that we can do a much better job with them this time around. And it's certainly something that we have interest in developing sooner rather than later. So I would say if we had multiple teams of developers and designers, et cetera, who could work on multiple things at this time, funnels would already be worked on, if not completed. Question. I've noticed that the webinar replays have not been posted in the last 4 weeks. Will they start being posted? Yes. I just need to, actually, we need to coordinate much better on who does that because, yes. So short answer, yes. I'll see to it. Clark is saying time watched gets bouncing. Time watched time watched gates bouncing to a splash page like 31 seconds on YouTube. Spotify to earn. Sorry, it's the time watched gates bouncing to a splash page like 31 seconds on YouTube. Spotify to earn the creator's monetization option. Time watch gates bouncing to a splash page like 31 seconds on YouTube. Spotify, like on YouTube, Spotify to earn creators monetization options. Time watch gates like 31 seconds and get you this benefit. Like, so you need to watch 31 seconds to unlock a specific thing, if I'm not mistaken. You get the money from Spotify, etc. Yeah, I mean, you're able to kind of do that with Full Player as is. So what I would recommend doing in use cases such as that, if you wanted to cover that, is you can just disable the timeline. So you can disable people from skipping back and forth in the video, so they need to watch it in a linear progression, and you can do that easily from the application. If you come over here to, I'll just open up any video. We can grab that example YouTube video that we're working on. You can come over here to player controls and you can hide the play timeline, and that will disable the timeline from being accessed anywhere. So if I just hide that, now people need to watch it in a linear progression. And that way you can include a link. So I can come over here and I can, for example, include a link and something that's going to be along the lines of I don't know, for example, claim your reward here, and you can include whatever link, but you can have this show up at 31 seconds, for example. So that way, when people start watching this video, they'll only see it when they get to the second 31, and from that point onward, they can claim their reward. So that's kind of, but sort of the automatic connection with Spotify and stuff like that for delivering those rewards is not something that I think has a lot of demand. We have a lot of demand for, but we can definitely discuss it further if we want to get it in front of people to see what their opinions are on that. I think I addressed that. All right, cool. So we're running out of time, so I'll entertain one more question. The final question from Steven. Will the new player lead to a bottom playlist option versus side location fairly soon? Looking for a better mobile experience. Thanks. The position of the playlist can already be controlled. If you come over here to a playlist, and you can come to settings, and you can enable this option which says mobile playlist position, and that will take all of the videos to the bottom and detach it from the right hand side pane of the video and place those links below the main video. So that's the answer for Stephen. All right. I want to thank everybody who joined this week, and hopefully we'll see you again next week. And thank you for continuing to join and contribute our ideas and help us improve Wool Player. Bye. Have a great remainder of this week. Bye.